Right, good evening. This is Corporal Cortella with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Mod cast. Anyway, over here we got Stevebud as the Grey Knight Bro Captain, and on the other side we have Texanius the Legend as Sindri Trollface Chaos Sorcerer. He is playing the Chaos Sorcerer. So I'm very interested in this because I'd like to see what really high level players are doing with my main and race and how they play. Tech says, I can only assume you're using the Bud Captain. I guess he's referring to the bro. Bro right here with his big ass sword, electricity in his head.
That's a strategic point for us, sir.
And on this map it's tough to talk for that first minute or so. First minute and a half, minute or so, when there's nothing actually happening. No fighting, just a lot of capping. That means I need to talk about stuff. There are times when I'm happy to talk about stuff that isn't even really related to exactly what's going on here, but right now I'm kind of running dry. I don't know. But hopefully they're getting close to running into each other soon. And the bro looks like he's about to meet up with the Chaos Sorcerer. The bro definitely wins a fight against Sindri. And these stormtroopers looks like they're about to shoot up some heretics. Tex just goes for the cap even though he's eating that sword in the face. And that's definitely a winning battle for the bro. It looks like Chaos heretics kind of get onto these stormtroopers. But we do have the strike squad coming to support the stormtroopers. Strike squad forces melee. Gets one model, one whole model. I'd like to know what the strike squad melee damage is. I don't know, it doesn't seem that great. We do have Chaos Space Marines out here. Now Chaos Space Marines, traditionally their whole thing is that they do more damage in melee combat than any other ranged unit, but I'm not sure that applies to the Strike Squad. I wonder if the Strike Squad has more melee damage than Chaos Space Marines, and they certainly have more melee skill because they just knock them on their asses. And that's something that I'm just trying to think of the implications for the matchup. Like, who does this matchup favor? And in a way, that's something that's not good for the Chaos Space Marines. Just that they lose that battle against the Strike Squad in melee. We do have a Purgation Squad coming out for Stevebud. It's kind of been like the bread and butter Purgation Squad unit. I mean, Grey Knight unit. And Tex even says that special fucked over that engagement. And the fact that these guys have a special attack is definitely going to give them an advantage over other ranged squads. I don't even know whether to consider the strike squad a ranged squad or a melee squad. They look like a melee squad with these halberds, but yet I think they just do regular melee damage. They're probably not that high damage, and I don't think they have a charge, even though they do have a special attack. Purgation Squad right here will do a ton of damage to those heretics, though. Stormtroopers, no upgrade. No upgrades whatsoever from any of Stevebud's units. Doombolt's going down right there. Do about 70% damage to those Stormtroopers. Doesn't kill a model, but Stevebud does need to move those Stormtroopers out of there soon before they get attacked by, say, heretics or something. Especially if they get flanked by heretics. That could wipe the squad. If I were Tex right now, but it's easy to say if I were Tex, especially since I have the whole Fog of War revealed. But if he just moved his heretics back here in the retreat path of the stormtroopers, he probably would have wiped the squad. And obviously, Purgation Squad, very good, precisely because you can get that generator bash right there. And now he's going to burn up some heretics, and heretics, unfortunately. Do not counter Purgation Squad. Like, if you can somehow get them in close, great. But for the most part, if they get caught on fire, you almost risk getting them wiped. Unfortunately now, the Purgation Squad, even there, they suppressed that squad really quickly. The only problem was that the Sorcerer was tying up the Purgation Squad. And even with the Sorcerer trying to tie them up, they still managed to get a burst off against those heretics and took off about 30% health. Stevebud has managed to keep this middle victory point for most of the time, though. You know, I think this Space Marine, this Chaos Space Marine Tier 1, this build may not be very strong against Grey Knights, just because he doesn't really have much that he can use to focus down the bro. He's only got the 1 Chaos Space Marine squad, and even with Eternal War, their damage is not that great. And then the Chaos Heretics are just going to bleed a lot of models if they're engaged with the bro. And then, of course, the Purgation is going to absolutely kill those Heretics. Now we have an Interceptor out from Stevebud, so I think maybe Tex's build isn't really that strong against Steve's build right now. But Tex is a very good player, so he's managing to take back. He's got half the map anyway. He's got half of the map in terms of resource, and he does have the contested victory point. He is a very good player, probably better than Stevebud, so he can probably make it work. And then the Sorcerer with the teleport armor, or the vestments of the warp, as they are truly called, is a big asset for Space Marines, especially, I think, before the introduction of Raptors in the Elite mod. In retail, you know, like, teleport armor was very much his thing. It just gave Chaos a jump unit that you could use in Tier 1, because obviously in Tier 2 you can get Bloodletters, but in Tier 1, basically, as Chaos Space Marines, you kind of need that. Well, you don't need it, but it really helps a lot for dealing with Devastators, Havocs, and here Tex should be Doom Blasting so that he can wipe that Strike Squad, which he just did. You know, he actually should have Doom Blasted immediately, because Doom Blast is extremely good on retreat, and he wanted to be able to do it like more than once. Like, if he had just... The Strike Squad almost got out. But if he had Doom Blasted immediately, it would have done a lot of damage to that Strike Squad, and then he would have been getting the damage from the melee attacks, and then he would have been able to get another Doom Blast in during their actual retreat. But he did wipe the Strike Squad ultimately, and took out 2 miles of the Purgation Squad. Almost killed the Purgation Squad. Big losses for Stevebud. So Tex has made this build pay off. Certainly one of the strengths of this build is that if you can get both Heretic Squads in the retreat path of a unit, it is probably going to be a wipe. Interceptors now have their Justicar. Basically turns them into ASM, except more expensive ASM, because they do knockdown. Sorcerer will have to get out of here, or he is going to get wiped. Tex should get another unit sometime soon. There's the Chaos Dreadnought. Chaos Dreadnought, pretty good choice. I've been liking it more and more. It's just great because it has that double function of being a vehicle, and it scares your opponent in that sense. It's like, oh, my opponent has a vehicle now, so I need to get AV, and I can't really fight it unless I have AV. And then there's also the fact that it serves as anti-vehicle. And you know, that's a big difference compared to, say, like the Space Marine Dreadnought, which, I mean, technically the Space Marine Dreadnought can do AV from the melee, but you would need to upgrade to the Multi-Melta if you wanted ranged AV. Chaos Dreadnought right here, it does ranged AV right out of the gate with the autocannon, does even better AV with the Zinch missile launcher, and then the Khorne Dreadnought, you don't see it as much these days. Not quite as powerful ever since the Blood Rage time has been reduced, but it can still be very powerful. It will still beat a regular Space Marine Dreadnought in melee.
The enemy is claiming a victory point.
Do you see the Chaos Dreadnought already on the field? Stevebud obviously knows it's there, but I mean, he's got his own Dreadnought. Depends what he's going to make it, though. Chaos Space Marines right here, no mark. They have the Aspiring Champion and Eternal War, but no mark. I don't know if Tex hasn't decided what he wants to do, but generally, the mark is worth a little bit more than the other upgrades. Generally. I think the Aspiring Champion has actually been changed a bit in Elite so that his pistol does more damage. And in that case, you might actually be able to get away with this kind of upgrade pattern if you're playing against mostly infantry units, like if you're playing against Orcs, or if you're playing against Tyranids, Eldar, or Imperial Guard. But, you know, against the heavy armor of a race like Grey Knights, you're really going to want either one of those marks, because both of those marks for Chaos Space Marines specialize in taking out heavy armor. They are still really good against any other kind of armor, but they really specialize at taking out heavy armor. And definitely in this match, just having a mark would have been a better choice than getting the Aspiring Champion and Eternal War. And look at this Aspiring Champion. Pretty badass with that skull now. He's got a Chaos Lord skull. And he is getting Mark of Khorne. And I agree with that. I think the Mark of Khorne is borderline overpowered, and I use it all the time. And oh my god, look at these Doom Bolts. Double Doom Bolts from double Chaos Shrines. Incredible. Wow. And that's the kind of thing where it's like, as I was saying earlier, where I want to see a high-level player play my main so I can see what he does and try to see what I can steal. And it's like the next time I play, I'm going to be trying to think about how can I use some Chaos Shrines of Tzeentch. Where can I find an opportunity to do that so that I can just start destroying people with Doom Bolts. Unfortunately, those Doom Bolts, not so good against the bro. He's just too tanky. And the Khorne Marines over here, are they going in for a flank or a generator bash? They're just kind of running around. Maybe a back cap? No, flank. Flank is a good choice. The bro has just been tanking the damage of those things. And now, that Purgation Squad in a lot of trouble just because we have the Chaos Space Marines right here, Khorne Marines, and those, I mean, the Interceptors, I'm not even sure if they want to be in a fight with the Khorne Marines. Yeah. Alright, the Khorne Marines do run out of there. They did jump into that fight with less health than the Interceptors. And we do have the Sorcerer getting a decap on the Stevebud's natural victory point. I don't think he should leave the Sorcerer in for the capture, though. Well, maybe. He is bringing in his Dreadnought to help out. That's bad. That leaves his Dreadnought snared. And he needs to get out of there. Not a very long snare, though, on that from those grenades. The Purgation Squad was trying to run in there, but the snare didn't last very long. Not really worth it. Oh, and as we see, we do have the missile launcher right here. Chaos Dreadnought, apparently not on the winning side of any of the fights going on here. Low on health, while the Tzeentch Dreadnought doing much better. Chaos Dreadnought has more health, but I guess the Chaos Dreadnought is probably... I mean, the Grey Knight Dreadnought has more health, but the Chaos Dreadnought is probably better AV. We do have the Purgation Squad with Psi Cannons now to serve as AV and also anti-everything. We do have a second Grey Knight Dreadnought from Stevebud. That is going to be a bit of trouble for Tex since he only has one Dreadnought. And it looks like right now both of these Dreadnoughts, he's keeping them with the Melta, which, you know what, it is a pretty good choice, especially as long as he has to deal with this Chaos Dreadnought. Plasma Cannon is still a very good choice. I have not seen too many of the other upgrades. He has another Fist upgrade and a Flamer upgrade, but I have not actually seen them against, basically I just have not seen them. So we have two Dreadnoughts, and you know what, that is going to be a problem because Tex does not quite have the AV to deal with two Dreadnoughts. And as long as these guys are over here, he can probably move these Dreadnoughts up so that they can take out both shrines. Now the only thing is that the Chaos Dreadnought has a much longer range than the Grey Knight Dreadnought, so that's why it's kind of doing better. The Melta has a very short range. Chaos Dreadnought has a lot of range. He's just having a problem now because, unfortunately, Stevebud just has too many Dreadnoughts. And this Chaos Dreadnought is supposed to be infiltrated, but it's now in a lot of trouble. But fortunately, Stevebud does decide to back off a bit, but he is going to take out these Chaos Shrines of Tzeentch and maybe even this Heretic Squad. If Tex was either not paying attention or Stevebud used the global that disables abilities. Now, one thing that can be really good with Grey Knights, especially if you're up against Space Marines, is that if a heretic squad is worshipping and you use that global that disables abilities, the heretics cannot stop worshipping. This has happened to me before, and I've lost heretic squads because of it, so it's just something that can be really good. I wonder if that's what happened there, or if Tex just truly lost track of it. Corn Space Marines right over here, level 2. Unfortunately, Tex just took some big losses. He did lose... He lost the heretic squad, actually. He also lost those 2 shrines, and those did cost a little bit of money. Looks like, are we going to get a little bit of a power bash right here? Maybe take out that 1 generator, but unfortunately, the Chaos Space Marines are getting shot up by these Purgation squads. They aren't taking a whole lot of damage, but now they are. And they did take a lot of damage on that approach. They did not lose any models, though, so that is pretty impressive. They can stay and take out some more generators if they really want, but it looks like Tex is backing them off. Tex did lose his Sorcerer as well, so that is part of it. At first, I was like, oh, he only lost a Heretic squad. Not big losses, but he did lose the Sorcerer, and he did lose those 2 shrines. Now, Stevebud is down on the victory points, but right now, Stevebud is definitely in the stronger position with the way that engagement went for Tex. I guess the problem with buildings in this game, it's like, if you can't hold your ground with the building and you lose the building, it can be such a huge loss. Just because a lot of this game is... One of the things that's very different about this game compared to more traditional real-time strategy games like StarCraft, or just about any traditional real-time strategy game except for like Company of Heroes, is that a lot in this game is the fact that you're not actually losing your units, because you're always retreating them. You lose models, but you don't lose the units. Buildings, on the other hand, since it stays in one spot, it's like you can't retreat it. Vehicles can't retreat, but they can move out of there, and you can force your opponent's AV to retreat. Tex does now have a lot of AV, and the combined AV of these 2 things should be enough to take out 1 Dreadnought, and then he leaves the other Dreadnought in a bad position. We do have the Sorcerer right here. I don't think he should be over there. He should not be doing that. Sorcerer is in a losing battle, needs to teleport out. He does teleport out, but he is going to retreat through 2 Dreadnoughts. And he is going to go down. Fortunately, not such great play by Tex. Tex's AV is kind of threatening the 2 Dreadnoughts that Stevebud has, but at the same time, Stevebud also has this Purgation squad, and now he's going for Grey Knight Terminators. I think it might actually be better for him to get Paladins, because basically as a source of AV. You know, right now we do have big vehicle plays from both players. Neither one of them has a very strong repair force, though. And we do need, what we really need to see is, okay, Tex decides to use his Heretics for repairing. I think he should have actually used it to Doom Blast the Interceptors, and the combination of the Interceptors and the Heretics, the combination of the Khorne Space Marines and the Heretics should have been able to force off the Interceptors. But, you know, I can say that easily because I'm watching this replay after the fact. It's much harder for Tex when he's just dealing with these things in the moment, and he's obviously making better in the moment decisions than I will. Grey Knight Dreadnought has a really smashed up face. Anyway, over here, Predator kind of moving forward. Obviously, it does a lot of damage just because it has the Mark of Tzeentch upgrade, really good against vehicles. Probably still the best overall upgrade you can get for a Chaos Predator. I guess I'd like to see... It's difficult to figure it out compared to the Khorne Predator. Sometimes people get that. I still think the Tzeentch is just the way to go, pretty much. Maybe the Nurgle Predator is now a decent choice against, like, races that have a lot of high model count and low HP squads, like Guardsmen, Dire Avengers, etc. I say that a lot. We have a little bit of a staring contest in the middle, but Texas is the one who has to make the move, and he has to do it when he has a much smaller fighting force. He is deciding to just move his Corn Space Marines forward. Maybe he can just get the decap off and then move back. Interceptors going in there. Going to, oh, they miss. The Interceptors actually miss the Chaos Predator. And where are the Texas units? Corn Space Marines retreating. Not good for Tex. Loses his Heretics. Loses the Dreadnought. Wow, those Grey Knight Dreadnoughts really paying off. I guess maybe it is actually a good idea to just leave those Grey Knight Dreadnoughts with the Melta. And maybe maybe even the Space Marine Dreadnought Melta is a good choice. It's just been these Dreadnoughts have really been proving themselves in this game and in many other replays that I've been watching. Meanwhile, Stevebud has his fully upgraded bro right now. He's got a Nemesis Demon Hammer, does a ton of DPS, also has a huge disruption ability. He's got the Holy Armor of Titan, gives him 300 health, decreases all ability cooldowns by 30%, and gives him an ability to make him invulnerable. He's also got the Teleporter pack, and you know what that is. Sorcerer goes down again for a third time. Tex really on the losing end of things right now, and he's going for the Land Raider Phobos, and I actually don't think that's a good choice. I think that's actually going to be countered. I think. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be countered by these two Grey Knight Dreadnoughts, especially now that both of them are level 2. He's got the Interceptors with their crack grenades, which have been missing on the Predator, but I don't think they'll have as much trouble landing it on the Land Raider Phobos. And he also has Grey Knight Terminators, not really AV, they do power melee, but, you know, I think they still do enough damage to kind of contribute. Basically, power melee units can kind of be used as light AV, just because, first of all, they have a very high base DPS. And then secondly, power melee does 15% damage against vehicles, which if you think about it is not that bad. Most AV weapons are doing something like 30 DPS against vehicles, 30 DPS or 50 DPS. As we see the Predator right here, it actually says 55 DPS. I don't think that's been changed in Elite. So, like a power melee squad, even with the 15% modifier, might still be doing like 25 DPS to a vehicle. It's actually not that bad, but just not as good as a heavy melee squad. And there goes that crack grenade on the Land Raider Phobos. And we do have but we did see that crack grenade does not last very long. And it's the Land Raider Phobos already back at full speed again, being chased down by these Terminators. We also have Chaos Terminators from Tex. But it looks like Tex is losing more and more units. Is he going to lose this Corn Space Marine? No, he does not. Stevebud does not force melee with those with that Dreadnought. Now we have Chaos Terminators right here, not that tanky, and they're actually losing a lot of health, probably close to losing a model. And they are getting the autocannon, which is very good as AV, but they just lost a model, and now they are in a little bit of trouble. They do need to get out of there. They will not win against Grey Knight Terminators with an auto if they only have an autocannon. And these Chaos Terminators need to get their aspiring champion back. Oh, and I just totally missed the Chaos Predator right here, taking out one of the Grey Knight Dreadnoughts. That's actually very good, because now Tex has the stronger vehicle force. The only problem is that right now Tex cannot support his vehicles because he does not have a Chaos Heretic squad. Chaos Heretics as opposed to other Heretics. He still needs to get a lot more requisition before he can even just get a Heretic squad out on the field. And then even then, this Chaos Predator might be dead. And it is. Yeah, alright. And now this Land Raider Phobos is in a little bit of trouble. Actually, it manages to dodge the grenade, but it's just dealing with a lot of units right now, and Chaos Space Marines low on health. They are getting their aspiring champion back, but they are way too low on health. They need to get out of there before they get wiped entirely, and they will get wiped. Tex has lost a ton of squads this game. Stevebud right now, though, has got a ton of red. He could start throwing down orbital bombardments. And this is not looking good for Tex, even though I have this counter up here, which I think I should start turning off, but there's still 7 minutes left in this game, so apparently Tex, even with only 2 units left, is still going to fight this out, and we'll see if maybe he can even turn this around.
Hold your progress.
We actually have fully upgraded stormtroopers. They literally have every upgrade. They have plasma guns, which they don't even need. Well, actually, they do for the Chaos Terminators. They're a level 3. They have infiltration ability, and they have a sergeant to make them tankier and to give them the ability to detect. But Tech's still definitely not on the winning side of things here. He is getting the Tome of Subjugation on his Chaos Sorcerer, which is a decision that I both agree with and disagree with. It's a fantastic ability. There's no doubt about that. The problem is that it leaves him vulnerable. And I think to really justify this ability, you do need to have a strong standing army so that you can actually protect the sorcerer from going down. Because if he goes down while he's subjugating, you lose a lot there. You know, I guess on the good side of things, his main goal would be to subjugate the Terminators, and then if the Interceptors try to kill the sorcerer, the Terminators should be cutting them up. But man, I still think it's going to be hard with Texas' current army composition. He does decide to get another Heretic Squad, just to support that Land Raider Phobos. At this point, it's even that is a difficult choice, just because he really needs more than just that, and he can't even do much with globals right now. He's in tier 3, but he does not have enough for an Imperial Abyss, and that's really the only way that he could be able to turn things around, by using his red. Dark Flames, just not worth it against Terminators and Interceptors and the Bro. And then Demonic Summoning kind of sucks now. Well, it just kind of sucks, period. And then the only thing left he has is Mass Warp, which again, not really worth it. We do have that Subjugate going right there. And will these Terminators take out the Bro? Terminators do need to take out the Bro. They do not get the Bro because they return back to his control, and oh my god, I didn't even see that while that was happening. Tex did lose his Chaos Terminators. I don't see how he can stay in this game any longer. The best thing he has going for him is that now he does have that Imperial Abyss. But he really needs Stevebud to clump his army up together if he wants to do something with that. Tex is getting another Chaos Predator, excuse me, yawning a bit. Stormtroopers down to 1 model, only their sergeant. And we do have an orbital bombardment going off for Stevebud. Wow, that might wipe this. Oh my god, I couldn't even get the words out before it happens. And that's gotta be GG. I don't know why there are 3.5 minutes left in this replay. Because Tex literally has nothing on the field right now. He's getting another Predator. He won't have anything to support it. He won't have any, well, I mean, he can afford to get a Heretic Squad right now, but, I mean, a Heretic Squad, and he doesn't even buy the Heretic Squad. He buys the Chaos Sorcerer. Meanwhile, Stevebud could buy more stuff. He can afford more stuff. He can probably put another Dreadnought on the field. If he actually kills off one of the models on these Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, he could get a squad of Paladins. So he needs to let a model die here, and then he can just get a squad of Paladins. He doesn't quite have it yet, but we got a Demonic Summoning, but it sucks. Oh, and there we have the Abyss. You know, I guess Tex wanted to stay in the game so we could at least watch that happen. Unfortunately, it did not do enough. It took out Purgation Squad models, took out some models, but not enough. And the Abyss, as it is just pulling back blood letters that spawned from that Demonic Summoning circle. And this Bro Deciding to go for a decap over here. Maybe can go immortal. Meanwhile, I guess Tex is still trying to stay in on the victory points. He's kind of lower on the victory point end. And the bro over here is using his invulnerability to just tank the damage from that Predator. At any rate, I've gone a little silent. Tex is still fighting this out. He's got a Predator over here, and it's actually hasn't been really threatened that much. He meanwhile gets a Chaos Dreadnought right here, upgrading it to the Mark of Khorne, interestingly. I was not expecting that. I guess he wants that to deal with the Chaos Terminators, but then he still has the Grey Knight Dreadnought to deal with. I guess his plan is to deal with the Dreadnought with the Predator. It's the best he can do. But now we have a Land Raider Crusader coming down. Land Raider Crusader about to come down right on top of this Predator. I wonder if that... I wonder if he even killed the Predator by dropping the Land Raider on top of it. That would be awesome. You know, anyway, we got about 20 seconds left in this replay. 13 seconds, 10 points left on the victory point counter. Looks like this game is going to Stevebud. Kind of crazy in a lot of ways. I really hope that Land Raider actually killed the Predator by being dropped on top of it. Alright. And that concludes our game. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.